Welcome to the appointment slot. I'm your host, Ben, alongside my co-host, Tom, the creative director of Diligence. And this is a project we've been talking about for a long time and very excited to bring to you all. And I wanted to ask, what's the vision for this podcast?
When me and you have known each other a long time. I've been cutting your hair for a while, and it's about. I was just thinking about finding somebody that was interested in not only coming to get the haircut, but having a nice chat. And I think that we have had so many great chats about not only you coming for a haircut and me doing a good job, but also about just life hurdles, life things, and just things in general, just that, come into a man's, life, I guess. And I thought, it would be good for me to sort of replicate that comfortability of an appointment where, a lot of these guys do come in and they have comfort in speaking to their barber or their stylist or their hairdresser. And I think it is a good opportunity to sort of try replicate that chat that you have in a barbershop or in a we call this the gallery, in our gallery, and just sit here comfortably with not only me, guests that we can hopefully get onto the podcast at a later date. We have a few lined up already, and I think it's just to replicate that chat you have in a barbershop and open up and just what men go through daily, or the amount of times I've had men sit in my chair and open up about things that they probably wouldn't open up to at home. So it's good to. I think the vision is just to have a nice chill chat and come out with things that people are just comfortable about talking about, but in their barbershop environment.
Yeah, I'd say I've always felt like I've been able to be open with you about stuff, and like this has always been like a safe place.
Yeah, I think it's nuts. I think we've had I've been cutting your hair for a long time, and we go over all sorts of aspects of just not only just you and me, but also just things that are going on in the world, going on in in any aspect really. But I think we just open up to each other. I think we become friends over time, and I think that's something I've said before. It's a really rewarding thing to have clients in your chair that become your friends, because they probably don't. A lot of people don't speak about their issues or speak about their problems. And I found over I've been in this game since I was 14. As such, started learning when I was 14 and gone through the ranks and now have my own shop. And I've realized that the amount of people that open up in the chair and what they're comfortable with opening up to me, someone might not know me for long, but they could have just met me for like half an hour. And I've found out that they're in, something's going on in their life or just in general, get to know people so well. So yeah, I think the vision is just to open up and get people feeling like they're in an appointment while they're watching us and feel comfortable about that. I think it's cool.
Yeah. So kind of capturing a piece of what goes on in the shop.
Yeah, like, exactly. And capturing the appointment. That's why I like to call it the appointment slot, because I thought it's like me and you sat here and you're having your haircut and we're having a chat like we do this every week. You come to see me every week, which is, I'm flattered. Thank you. Like, it means a lot to me, not only to get you fresh, but it's just good that we have that relationship. And I think it'd be good to capture that with different guests. And yeah, I think it will really catch on.
That's amazing. Yeah, no, I agree. I definitely agree. So about yourself, where have you kind of come from in the industry, and like what experiences?
So a recap on me. Basically, I've been in the game for a long time. So I was fortunate. My mum would take me to a high-end hairdressers when I was a little boy, and I found it amazing that I could just go there and I knew what I wanted. I really knew what I wanted in the chair. And every time I would go, I would, ask for a different style until and this was from when I was about 12 years old, maybe a tiny bit earlier. And then when I got to the point and when I turned about 14, you were allowed to work a couple of hours a week when you were 14. And then you could move, as you turn 15, 16, you could do like Saturdays. And when I think I did a couple of hours on a Wednesday night. Then I did a few hours on a Saturday. And then from there you can progress to do, to go in and become full time. So I was doing a few hours a week. I was getting my hair cut. And then my hairdresser at the time just said, look, you're always coming to me with new ideas. You really look like you're into this game. Why don't you start working? So from there I started working after, building up a relationship like I have with you. I started working in this salon. It was very high end and it was probably the biggest in the game back then. And it just progressed from there. I was doing fashion shows. I was I was cutting in the salon. I was fully booked for a number of years working for this brand, and then we went on to I went into men's hair. Got a bit static, a bit stationary. Still had a lot of experience, a lot of years under my belt. By this time, it was probably about, I was in the hair game for about 12, 14 years. And then just had this vision to do my own thing. So it's been a long time coming. We've now been open here at Diligence for about 9 months. It's been a long time coming, but I just, I always had it in myself that I really wanted to do something myself. And it was just orchestrating exactly what I wanted to do and the concept behind what I wanted to do. So yeah, it's a bit backstory about me, but it's been a long time coming.
Definitely. Yeah, no. So with, you mentioning all that, how did you actually come up with the idea of Diligence and why?
So I felt like there was a massive gap in the market. I felt like my background is predominantly hairdressing. So when I went into the predominantly men's hair after I'd been in hairdressing for a good number of years, I just felt like there's no real, it hadn't been bridged over to that. There was guys that were leaving the salon and leaving the hairdressing salons, the big ones, and then working in barbers and men's, predominantly men's salons. But there wasn't anything like that was bridging the gap from barbering, hairdressing, and then also giving the experience that men now want, which is like, that people that do want to come in, they get their hair washed. As a man, you do want a bit more for your money. And I think that when I had this idea, this was going on in my head, thinking that I'm from that background. And I loved getting my hair washed. I loved, the salon vibe. And I knew that men would like that. So it was about, at the time I was thinking, right, I'm going to have a salon. I wanted showers in the salon. I wanted lockers. I wanted it all to be a big thing that men could come, drop their stuff off, have a shower, from late hours at work, get their hair washed, have a shower, go out into the town. This is what I really wanted to do. And I think in the long run, I still will do that. When we open London and things like that, when we get a salon in that way, that I think we will have showers and lockers and things like that, because I think it's something that can add to the experience. But it was about giving a better experience to men and giving them that extra, because now we sell, face creams, we do facials, all stuff that people would frown at me when I used to say it in the men's, in the barbershop I was working in. It was like, nah, no one's going to do that. But I thought, no, they will, they definitely will. And to be honest with you, we took it by storm, I think. But people do offer facials and they do offer, but now with the way we do it and the way we can offer and what we can offer with it, it's exactly how I envision things.
Yeah, no, definitely. So being a hairdresser beforehand, and now having your own business, what would you say were the main differences?
People obviously at the time, people think, well, do you know what? Being a hairdresser and seeing a lot of hairdressers open shops and a lot fail is, I think, the answer to that question. I think it's a very tough thing to be able to manage people. I think it's a very tough thing to be able to learn quickly about the runnings of a shop, especially when you put your money into getting that shop open. So it's a very different game. But I feel like a lot of people struggle when they make that transition to opening a shop and manager in the shop, and because a lot of people don't have that natural ability to talk to people. I know most hairdressers and barbers should, but when it comes to people problems, it's a very hard thing to tackle. I don't know if you've come across people that just are amazing at their job and then they go into like a managerial role or something like that and they're just not very good at that side of it. So there's loads of different hurdles that I've learned on the job and learning about. And I think patience is key. Like, I was not a very patient person before and I could fly off quite quickly. Whereas now I found myself, I would either, take a second to think about certain things or realize that not everything is so bad. You can just, if you just take time for just take a chill pill for a second, and you sort of get over hurdles that are completely foreign to me, because obviously I've never done this before. I've never worked a shop. I've just worked in a shop, but also I've had help along the way, which I'm sure I'll introduce and explain who has helped me along the way and who's heavily involved in my shop as well, mentoring me as well, which has been great, because some of the sides of things you just don't know, and to have someone on that side of it is, I feel, it is good to have, because a lot of that, again, going back to when people do start shops, when they've come out of, and they've just been a hairdresser, is, if you haven't got the mentor inside of it going on, or you haven't got someone dealing with certain aspects of it, you just, I don't know, it's a lot to take on.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
there's a buzz around it as well. So there's a buzz around
Was
it.
there a lot of stuff you didn't expect that you had to deal with? You didn't
Yeah, of
anticipate?
course. Like there's loads of stuff. It just comes up, and when you when you say to somebody that has their own business, like I'm going to open a business, like you can see it in their eye. They just think,
Yeah.
this you don't have a clue what's coming. You know what I mean? You don't have a clue what's coming. But it's been good. I mean, if anything, I feel like when you do, there's a lot of stress that comes with it, but the rewards, not monetary rewards, but just rewards in general. Just when you see, your team working in the shop, or when you see, someone do a photo shoot, or when you see something, someone executing something that you've helped them with, that's all part of the gains, I guess, because that's what it's. When I opened a shop, it was obviously people disagree, because obviously I work a lot, and I get pay myself. You work for money basically. But this opening a shop was never about money. It was really with me. Obviously, I like to earn money. I like to make money, but it was more about creating something and not letting myself go to waste. Whereas where I was before, I felt like I was wasting my talent side of things. So now when we open the shop, it's like, boom, I feel like I'm back.
You mentioned diligence meaning more than just
Yeah.
like the paycheck and things like that.
Yeah.
So obviously, and you've mentioned a few things about the podcast and
Yeah.
building relationships with people, but what is the real thing for you that makes diligence so special?
I mean, that's something that you can answer. We can get into something about, because obviously you come here.
Yeah.
So for me, the special side of it is, and what its difference is, because of how I want it to feel for men, and what I want people to experience when they come here. And it's not just high conveyor belt, get in the chair, get them bashed out. That's something I completely eliminated from everyone that works here and myself. It was like, we don't do 20-minute haircuts. We don't slip anyone in for 10 minutes, and we don't rush anyone. I would rather be now saying to people, look, that's not what we do.
Yeah.
And I think to make it the way it makes it special, and I think you can add into this as well, is basically, it's just offering that whole comfort of a men's haven that guys just don't have, and and also telling people, we've got this product, why don't you try this? There's been an influx of men's, when buying, they say it's makeup, but it comes out as that when they look at the stats online, but it's actually face creams and looking after themselves, and guys just don't know where that is, and I think here they've got everything. We've got 80 different men's products by our product partners depot for men, and it's like all men's fragrances, room sprays, candles. I mean, if you told me 10 years ago or 5 years ago, would you go and buy a face cream, Tom? I'd be like, maybe not. I've always been into that side of things and grooming side of things, but when I'm trying to tell these big lads coming in and taking a seat, and they're like, try this face cream, they look at you a bit funny, but they want to do it. They do want to try.
Yeah.
And I think it's more and more guys now are getting more comfortable with that. And I think creating something where guys are so chill and so can just come in here and completely relax, and it looks fresh, you feel fresh, it's different. I mean, what do you think? You obviously came in, and
Yeah, I mean, well, obviously
you've seen from where I was before, and then you've seen from now, and
yeah,
you think the way
I can
it's
kind of
changed.
see the vision of what you're trying to do. Obviously with your background, this is like a salon, but it's like it's for men. It's not like a typical salon. So
I think we remember having a chat, and you didn't fully expect.
Yeah, no, I was really impressed. Just obviously in terms of how everything looked, thought it was super smart.
Yeah.
And the main thing I'd say about diligence, what makes it special, at least for me, is like it's the first time I've felt like, you can walk in somewhere and it actually really feels like a home. It feels like an environment you can just, everyone's cool, everyone's friendly. There's no kind of bad energy or anything.
No.
And that's what I think makes it special, like you said, and just being able to come somewhere and know that it's actually a place where you can just be open.
And I think you spoke before to me about especially experience you've had in barbershops where you felt uneasy in some places. You've been to a barbershop, and I can relate to that as well, where I was a kid and things, sometimes you go in and there is a bit of an atmosphere and people are sort of, it's almost like,
it's very transactional. It's just like sit down in the chair, cut the hair, get out. Do you know what I mean? There's
that's what I wanted to completely get rid of, because
I agree.
we offer from facials to, we were working with men's health companies and holding space and there's even a men's health company which I will touch on it in another podcast, because I think we're going to, me and you will go over that whole men's health situation and mental health, where we're actually going to team up with somebody so they can come in, and when they do speak about a problem they've got or do speak, I can actually log them in and I can put a hand on their shoulder and say, look, I'm going to get someone to call you at 6:00 tonight. You don't have to take the call, but it's on me. I've sorted it out, because apparently there was like this big thing around about 70% of men will explain that they have an issue, but they won't actually do anything about it. So it's in diligence, we're trying to work all those different aspects. And I think anything that a guy could possibly want or need, we can integrate it, whether it be collaborations or whether it be in the treatment room that we have here, or, you know, when we get a bigger property or another salons, just being able to house it all. And I think it will really, really blow, because there's nowhere that's doing that. It could be anything. It could be physiotherapists. It could be, you know, as I said, mental health therapists. It could be anything. It could be anything. And I think that's why this could be so big and so special. And I'm really looking forward to how it plans out. I've got loads of plans for it. It's just about, you know, scaling it. But like you said, going into barbershops is it can be a bit of a daunting thing. Like, you've had experiences where, you know, where you go, it depends where it's situated, I guess.
Of course. I mean, growing up, obviously, funny story. Like, I remember my mum's friend would always cut my hair until I was about probably like 10 or maybe 12 or something. Yeah. And then my dad's just like, right, that's it, Ben, taking you to the barbershop. And I remember the first time being in that environment when you're young.
You got taken. I got kicked up there. No,
yeah. And then, like, I don't know, it was quite daunting, and I felt that way for quite a few years. Yeah, you know, especially when you're young, because I think I
do remember that. I think I do remember that in my head, sitting there thinking, "Oh, I've got to tell this guy what I want." And
there's a sense of responsibility. Yeah. Like, you
is
know,
he going to think? Most of the time I was asking something out there, and he'd be like, "Look at me, like I'm not going to do that."
Yeah, so it's like it's a part of growing up in a way, to go get your hair cut, and it's a part of being a man.
True.
You know,
it's true.
I mean, it's one of our next questions, but we can lead on to it. But yeah, it's part of being a man. You know, it's about, like you said, like grooming and self-care is way more common amongst men. You know, you see on social media, it's a basic thing for young guys now to have a skincare routine.
Whereas I'm, you know, 35 now, and I have seen a massive change in it. And I think the guys that were coming to Tony and Guy, right, but, you know, I was brought there by my mum, so I was very thankful for that. But I always had an eye for what I liked, and I was always liked everything very clean. I'm a bit OCD with things like that, you know, very specific about what I wore. And I was lucky to have a mum that, you know, mum and dad. So mum was basically took me to these places, and to not only buy nice clothes, but to get my haircut was just very, very important to me. So, and I think it is part of becoming a man. I think it is very true, because now if somebody took my little boy for a haircut and it wasn't me, or his mum took, I'd be very, like, it would hurt me, because I feel like that taking him to the haircut it's a dad son thing. Yeah. And then going for, and then, you know, from when you get older, you can go and take yourself, and I think it is part of, like, it's a confidence thing. Like, it's about once you hit that barrier, it's like once you get the haircut you want, you can take on the world. I guess.
Definitely. But yeah, I mean, that kind of leads us on to that next question. What is the importance of a haircut? You know, obviously you mentioned coming to the barbershop, but the actual haircut in of itself, like, why is that important?
Do you know what? Like, this is going to be a question that I think that, you know, I think we will really touch on, and I think it's going to be a base of everything, because I've asked this question so many times, and when I speak to a lot of people, especially, like, you know, yourself, you'll be able to give me your answer, and everyone's answer is probably slightly different, but almost the same. Because is it the most valuable thing that a man can do? Is it the best thing for confidence? I mean, the importance of it goes miles, and I think it's, when it comes down to it, the importance of a barber or a good barbershop or a good gallery, salon, however it may be, is probably at the height of, or the pinnacle of every man, when you really think about it. Because you go out, if you're going on holiday, what are you going to do? Yeah.
First thing you think is,
I need to get a haircut.
I need a trim before I go, you know?
You know, you could go and get some clothes, but the first thing you've got to do before you leave is to get a haircut. If you're going on a date, and the only way you think you're going to succeed on the date or do, you know, what you're going to do, you're going to get a haircut, and it comes from everything. And now it's cutting a lot of, you know, celebrities and sports people's hair. It's at the absolute heart of some of their, you know, what they think they're going to perform better because they got a haircut, or it's part of their makeup or part of their routine to make sure they perform well. And I think that question is something that I think will make the main question of this podcast, because every different person will have a different answer, but it will still come back to confidence. You know, once you have your haircut, wherever you may be going, whatever you may be wearing, it's sort of that finesse to it.
definitely.
And I think without it, people would either not go out or feel like they're not going to play well.
Yeah.
Or, you know, I think it's really, I think it's a mad question.
I think
it's
for
a
me,
mad
for
question.
me, a haircut is all the things you just mentioned. You know, like it's almost a form of cleanliness to me. It's
Yeah.
you want to look sharp. You want to feel. It
Yeah.
always has that feeling to it. You know.
And if you feel rubbish and shit, or like you don't feel very well, and you have a haircut, it's got that energy to just build, bring you up. Like
it's like the saying: if you look good, you feel good. And I think for women, obviously makeup is a big proponent.
And I think there's a lot of things. I think it's so important to men because not many men are getting their nails done. Not many men are going out and having treatments, you know, or having a facial. Now we've got this place, they should be, but not many men are doing that. So they're you know, when do they sit, stop? They work hard. When do they sit, stop, and get something? A woman could have 5 appointments through her week about doing something to make herself feel good or feel better. Nails, hair, you know, massage, anything. But guys just don't do that. So the importance of them coming in and getting a haircut, whether it be every week or every month, it's the only thing possibly that a man does for himself.
Yeah.
You know,
and it's the biggest thing too. Gives you the biggest sense of confidence,
exactly.
You know?
So the importance of it is it's a massive question. I think it's going to be the absolute center point of this podcast. I think when we go through and talk to different people, because I want to surround what it is about the haircut that, you know, makes people tick.
Definitely. So why shouldn't someone feel nervous coming into diligence?
I think do you know that feeling of when people walk into a new pub or something like that, and it's like, and it's like people
scanning the area,
and everyone turns their head. In here, the doors open, the music's pumping. So I think you feel us before you even come in the store.
It's like a presence to the
shop. So it's like a presence to the shop, and I feel like when people change their, you know, especially change their barber or change where they go, sometimes it's about not being happy before, which is fine, you know, and sometimes it's just about people are curious to know what's going on in here. So I think we play our music quite loud, but in a good way, but we pump it out at the right times, you know, so midday on a Saturday, you know, the music will be blaring out the door. And I think that engagement straight away, I could play a song and I play like George Michael, something like that, yeah, which relates to probably a hell of a lot of people, older gentlemen, younger gentlemen. As soon as they walk past the shop and they hear that, it's almost like an invitation to come through. And the amount of times I'd say, boys, turn the music up for just 2 minutes, it's engagement straight away. So people just walk in, they want to know what's going on. So they come in and they ask, hi, how long you been here? And then we give them a card. And then within a minute, or if they don't leave, they've already booked in with me here and there. If I ask if they're local. And I think that is one thing that will stop that people coming in and, not stop people coming in, stop people feeling nervous to come in. But also if it was down to feeling nervous to come in for the, you know, the capability of a new barber and stuff, I think we've got, you know, a team of 5 here already, ever growing, and we're looking to do 6, 7, 8 barbers and get more chairs and everything. Everyone's fully equipped, and I think sometimes people are nervous to sit in a chair, especially if you're going to a barber's that doesn't look like this. I think if you're sitting in a chair, and you will be nervous sat in the chair sometimes. Have you had that?
Yeah, I mean, like just the shop itself, like, you know, you look at it because it's so professional.
You've got faith in this shop.
Yeah,
right?
just the aesthetics. You think, well, there's so much effort that's gone into the way it looks.
Yeah, the guy can't do a bad haircut. Yeah, but have you ever had that when you've sat in a chair and like I've had it? And
to be honest, I don't sit in any other chair than yours.
I know. That's a good thing. I hope you've.
But that's to your point.
You've never had it in my chair.
No, but that's to your point. That's the point.
Like, it looks a bit ropey today.
That's me essentially me agreeing with you because it's like that's exactly why I stick to one person, because I know I'm going to get a good job.
Exactly.
Rather than taking risks, walking into a place and being like,
I've definitely had it. I mean, even when I was a hairdresser, I went somewhere because I had to. I can't remember. And I remember the place. I remember that. I'm not going to mention it obviously because I don't dig anyone out. But I was there and I was just like so nervous. Because I'm quite, you know, I know how it should be done. I'm quite particular. And you can just feel that and sense that straight away. That's because of the way the place looked. And then obviously not to stereotype or look at anyone, but you know, sometimes about how somebody holds themselves or if they're slouching or jumping off a chair or like, you know, coming to your hair.
How welcoming they are.
So how welcoming they are. And I think with this, I think that nervousness, I think it just gets left at the door. Yeah. I think from the music, from the atmosphere, and I think I'm front of house here. I got Martin, one of my other creative stylists that's front of house, and pretty much, to be honest with you, everyone who ever goes to the front, if somebody can't make it, is very welcoming. And you find that people do want to book, and the only issue we have is finding time.
Yeah,
because we are so busy.
So busy, yeah. But it's testament to the quality.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing to add is people can be confident they're going to get not only a good haircut, but also it was almost an experience in
Exactly.
itself,
That's exactly what we're trying to do. So it's not just that, is it? Not just the haircut.
Like you walk out feeling good, not
yeah.
just because you look fresh, but you feel good.
I mean, if you sit in here and you're getting a good haircut, and then you've got, your treatments, and you've had your hair washed and you're feeling fresh, and then the music's playing, you get a beer, get a coffee, you're chatting to the lads around you, like that barbershop's vibe, but in the environment where you're getting that little bit extra as well. I mean, yeah, it's just a massive confidence boost. And I'd actually like to know some feedback from some people that have been nervous coming in and then saying how they feel when they've left. I think it'd be a great thing to ask out. I know you can't, it's hard to dig deep on those types of things, but I think majority of people that have been nervous coming in here left feeling quite the opposite, I think.
Yeah. I mean, I could say from my own experience, like just over the years, like initially the barbershop, it was the first time, honestly, where I just walk in and I think, I feel a part of this, it's not just a sense of...
Exactly. And we mentioned that a lot. We'd mentioned that a lot. Like once you've been with us once, look, I know people that have businesses, right? They can be, whether it be a personal trainer, whether they be another barber, whether they be another hairdresser. And it's like, what you come to me once and I've cut your hair once. If I don't see you for 6 months, but I still come back and you come back to me once. That one time you cut my hair, I feel like you're part of the family for me. That's honestly how I feel. And I feel if you've ever once handed me a pound to do a service for you, I always feel like I will have that respect for you. I will always say hello to you. When I'm walking around the shop, I always encourage the boys to say hello to clients they've seen, or say hello to the boys. And when I leave the shop, I always say goodbye to the clients that are in here. But I do feel there's a lot of people out there that have had a client or have trained somebody. And the sad thing is that if they go and don't come back, or haven't been back for a while, they lose this, like, it's almost like they got a bit of they're a bit aggravated by them. Well, do you know what I mean? And they don't, that respect that they used to come and now they don't. I think that should just be completely washed. I think anybody that comes into my shop, especially, and pays any type of money to be here, I think I'm grateful.
Yeah, I mean, there's that whole thing about being loyal. How loyal men are.
But that's
to
what
their
I'm touched on. The loyal.
So it's like there's this unspoken rule, I guess.
Yeah,
but...
and there's a lot of that. There's a lot of like, loyalty of barber. Do they cheat on it? But sometimes it just happens. Yeah, some people just go away. But the majority of the time, and especially some of my clients, I mean, most of my clients, I've been cutting some people's hair for like 12 years. I mean, 12 years trusting me, that's why sometimes it's important to elevate yourself. So, if somebody's been coming to you for 12 years, what can I offer them to keep that? Or if that comes into my head, oh, this guy's been coming to me for 12 years, what can I do today just to, give them a product, or make cut the haircut price in half, or just today's on me, like little things like that I do regularly, because I just feel that how grateful I am now I've got this shop and people are paying a little bit extra to come to me. I think it's really important just to acknowledge that.
100%.
I think it's very important to acknowledge it, because I think some people don't. And I also feel that if someone's come to you for a long time and then have to go somewhere else, or you don't see them for a while, who cares? Like, they gave you money at one point, so the respect level should always be there.
And if they came back, it means that whoever else they tried,
exactly. And I've had this conversation by so many hairdressing barbers and stuff. They they panic and say, I put my prices up, or this, and someone's gone elsewhere. They will always come back because they were with you for that long. So it just does a full circle. Let people go away. Let people come back, because when they do come back, it might be more of a buzz, and you might be able to do them even better, and that will elevate you to do a better job in the shop, in the salon or gallery, wherever you are.
Yeah, no, I test everything you say, and even what you mentioned about people that come in, it's like the business is about building relationships. Even when I first came to the old shop, like I remember if you saw me on the street, you'd say hello, how are you? Yeah, it was never like, oh, I've only seen you once, I don't need to say hi. So it was always that sense of care.
And that's the thing. I mean, I did an interview with our product brand, and they asked me what was the most rewarding thing, and I said it's making the friendships, because in that small time, like this appointment, like we're saying, like the appointment slot, it's amazing what you can learn about someone, and also it's very one-on-one. It's not like a conversation in the street. It's like, almost the chairs are spaced out enough to speak privately, and people can't, it's too hustle and bustle in there, so you can open up and just say things. And I've honestly made so many friends just from chair to haircut. It's crazy.
I think that's the beauty of this podcast in itself. The vision is that's exactly the point. You've met so many amazing people. Like it's sharing some of those moments, would you say, with
Yeah.
with people to see,
With
like,
people, exactly. And
do
when
you
you
know what I
and when
mean?
you and when hopefully when people watch this, if they do, hopefully, but when they do, I hope they feel that comfort and can completely and utterly relate. And if you're not getting that service, or you're not relating to what we're saying about coming in and look at where we are now after, you know, cutting your hair for 2 years, or for however long it was, three years, you know, it's then you're not getting what you should be getting, because it's about building a relationship, especially with your barber. You know, some people just want to come in and go. I fully get that. You know, you can gauge those type of people,
And that's fine, right? Would
and
you
that's
say?
fine. Yeah, but again, they're going to choose my shop because they felt comfortable with having their hair cut in silence and going,
Yeah.
and that's fine. You know, and those people you gauge and you figure that out. But yeah, it's if you're not getting that service and you're not getting that, you're not feeling that, then I'd suggest you go looking for somewhere that makes you feel like that, or try and find it, or
Yeah.
come here.
Yeah, no, I get your point. That's kind of the point, is that this is the place. If you want that deeper thing, you know, this is the place to be.
I truly
But
believe that.
but yeah, the next thing about you motivating me, myself, and maybe some of the other guys to kind of model when you open the shop.
Yeah, so should
Tell
we
us a bit
touch on?
about
Let's
that.
touch on that, because obviously we haven't spoke about that too much yet, but we've spoken about it loads of times, about how, you know, the reason you're here today is because obviously I did a launch party. I opened up Diligence, and what I wanted to do was do a collection, and that means where I've got 12 guys, was it about 8 to 10, it was maybe 10 guys I think it was, about 10 guys put together, different looks. I dressed everybody, I cut everyone's hair, and then we had like 150 guests here, and we did like a catwalk where they walked up and down, and you were one of those guys. And I remember saying to you in the chair, and you were like, what? You were like, what, me?
I mean, I don't think
And I was like, yes, you. I
You
was
were pretty sold
100.
on me. You
I
were
think
like,
you were maybe in
you're
my
doing
first
it.
one, so I went straight to my phone. I put you in my notes, and I was sold on you. And you was like, am I doing this? I was like, you're 100% doing it. So that's where we sort of come from as well, on the front of, and why I think you're important to be in, because you've been part of my journey, and I think that it was great to get you in, and I get you were like, I don't know if I can do that. And
Yeah,
I was like,
you did
trust
catch me
me.
off guard, because you were like, nah, Ben, you're doing it. You're doing it, Ben.
You're doing
I'm
it.
like,
You'll be fine. You're fine. But
all
the
right,
thing was, I was just trying to just play it off like it was nothing. I was just like, look,
No, it was
you
cool.
can do it. It's fine. And obviously, those guys, there was 10 guys, and I think one of them was a model. Like, one of them was a real model that I maybe pulled off. But every one of them I met on the street, and actually, there was a couple of them that were models, but I still picked those off the street. So it was just by chance they were models. And I obviously must have a little bit of an eye for that, which is something I'd love to start doing, is going out and looking for models. And it's just something that I get a buzz from, and I don't mind approaching anybody. But and giving somebody the confidence to do it, especially like yourself. Like, you was like, nah, I'm not doing that. And I was like, Ben, you can do it, and it's fine.
Yeah, I think there was a bit of like resistance. I was like,
Yeah.
oh man, like this is like way out of my depth. But then I thought, you know what, like, why not? You know, why not? Why
And
not?
then
What's
when you did the
worst that can
catwalk,
happen?
you was getting like whistles, cheers, and like it must have been a massive compliment. When you're actually in it, you must have felt good.
Yeah, definitely.
Like-
I'm so glad I did it. You know,
Yeah.
and even just to be a part of it. Now, I think that's another element as to why maybe I feel so comfortable here. It's just because,
Yeah.
oh, I'm actually a part of this. It's not
Yeah.
just like I'm actually a piece of it, rather than just
Yeah, just
like, do you know what I mean? And but yeah, no, I'm super glad I was a part of it. And
I
it
think
was such a
that
good night
when
as well.
people watch this, and also they would have seen your face over the socials, they would have seen it, and you know, you've been on there. You know, I did. Not only did I chuck you in at the deep end, I gave you a haircut that was pretty out there, which I then couldn't cut.
I took it
And
to the gym a couple of times. I mean, it
you
was
had all
fine.
patterns
But
up your head, and then you couldn't change it. And I was like, yeah, I'll have to cut that in a few
yeah,
days.
you were like, yeah, after the thing, I'll skim fade it. I'm like, Tom, what about the hair? You're like, mate, I can't. I'm
And
too busy
I think
right
I'd had
now.
a few drinks by then.
Yeah,
It
I was
just-
like thinking, oh god, so I've got the next 2 days. Of
yeah, you had to
having
roll
my
for
hair.
2 days with like patterns up the side
But
of your head. But
I mean, it looked good. I mean, no one. It's surprisingly no one said anything.
Really, that's-
Well, a
that's
few people,
annoying.
but like,
no, but that's
not
good.
in a bad way.
No,
but
that's good.
You think like, oh my god, everyone's looking at me, but
Yeah.
yeah.
No, but that's it, and that's why it's great. No, that's a good introduction of why you and why you're here. And I think moving forward, yeah, I feel like you're part of this place, and you come weekly. You know, not only do you come weekly, you were part of the launch party and the makeup of it, and I've known you for a while. So yeah, I think it was good to tell people why you were here, and moving forward that you're going to stay. And I think you're going to be the main host of this. You know, I'll be in and out. But I'd love you to just, you know, to crack on with this and make it your own, really.
Yeah, no, definitely. The belief in your vision Obviously to do this, you have to have a lot of self-belief,
Yeah.
like probably shot ideas at people and like they've probably gone, yeah, it's obviously a part of you had to have that self-belief.
I think,
And just to add, like, do you think, obviously you pulled it off, it's amazing, but do you think people expected you to do so well as you did?
it's a tricky one. I think that comes back to you as well, because a lot of these questions that we're going to go through in conversation is that you can relate to, is that when I told you about these ideas when I first met you, and then probably when they executed them and when they done them, even you were shocked when you said, wow, I knew you had the ideas, I knew you was going to do it, and I kept saying it to you, I was going to easily do it. And then when you actually saw it, it must have, I don't know, that's something for you to quickly touch on before I
Yeah, I mean,
further.
I'm not one to ever doubt people. I'm all for self-belief and,
Yeah. Likewise,
surrounding myself
I think
with
it's a
people
good trait to have in a person, in a man.
Yeah.
Just to don't hate.
But I had no expectation,
Yeah.
but you absolutely exceeded what I had. I didn't have anything in my mind, but what you did, I thought was.
I think when people get told a barbershop's going to open or you're going to open a shop, I think there's so many of the same type of shop.
Yeah.
So when you go and look at a barbershop, you've got this stereotypical barbershop in your head, and people thought that. But then when they saw this, they were like, well, where's this come from? Like, how has this even been a thing?
It's got its own style. It sticks
got its
out.
own style,
Like when people walk past, they don't just walk straight. They always look in because
exactly. And it's a great location where we are here on Swan Lane in Guildford. It's crazy location. But I always believe, do you know what? A funny story, right? I said to myself, as soon as I get this barbershop, there was a song I wanted to play. I was going to lay in here on my own at the end of the shop. And when I finally got to the point, and in my head, this was my drive. I know it sounds so crazy, but in my head, I was saying, when you get a shop, you're going to come in, you're going to close the door when it's finally done, when no one's here working anymore, as in like making the shop what it is. And you're going to lay in the middle of the shop and you're going to play that song, and you're going to play it on your own and just lie there and just listen to it loud. And that was something I honestly, truly, it's true that it just drove me and drove me and drove me and drove me. And then as soon as I had the shop and it was my opening day the next day, everyone went home after we set the shop up ready for opening, and I laid down on the floor, played that song, and then I literally was like nearly in tears because I thought that was the song that I always said I would do and play, and that's what was going to drive me, and that was it.
What was the song?
It's Meek Mill, Blue Notes. It's honestly, but
was that the main like driver?
It honestly, it was that in my head. I kept thinking, especially what I'm working towards. That was in my head all the time, just to be able to do that. And I thought, if I can have that end goal in my head of just having my own shop and just laying there and thinking, wow, you've done that, then there wasn't much going on else around it. The ideas and stuff was something I've been piecing together for probably about 10 years.
Oh, really?
I mean, I've been using Pinterest for a long time. So I was taking, things along the way and just pinning them and having like a big news feed and reel of different pins. And it's actually quite good because when I go back to my Pinterest from where I started with it, I'll take our desk that we have was one of the first pins I put on it. And it's crazy because there's like a journey of how I felt about things like greys, then it went into greens and it greys. And then you see, the way it just sort of journeyed up. And then, the inspiration was coming from all different things. So I took aspects from all of those pins I ever had and then just pieced it all together and then just created this basically. It was mad because a lot of this stuff was, I didn't know if it would go together well. And then I was working with greys, which is really hard. If you wear like greys, like grey trackies and a grey t-shirt, and it's not the right two greys, sometimes you feel a bit off.
Yeah.
And you're like, I can't wear that. It's like, even if it's slightly small, slightly different. When I'd finally bought everything and get everything ready for the concept and to put it all together, when the shop was being made, I was like, I had a massive panic attack. I was like, shit, I don't think this is all going to go together. There's so many different greys, there's so many different, things, but it just worked. And I think, it was just keeping myself inspired by that end goal. Yeah. That complete end goal. And it was like, it wasn't even about what the shop would look like. It was about having one, being on my own in here and just taking that in at that moment. And when I finally did it, it was just mental. Honestly, it was proper emotional. Yeah. It's crazy.
One of the best feelings.
One of the best, apart from, my children. Yeah. It was definitely. Because I'd been striving in my head of what I wanted to do with the idea, the concept and everything like that. And then, it just came together at that moment. It's just like, it made it happen.
Definitely. No, but so what motivates you now? Obviously that was your main driver.
It's crazy. Now? You know what? It's obviously there's a big motivation. I have children. So, to give them a good life and motivate moving forward. But now I've just, and obviously that is probably my main, but now I've gained that love for hair again, whereas I'd stopped that. You know, you must see the energy when you come in here now. Like there's energy with everyone, and in there, you know, where we was before was very flat. It started to, you know, I'd always hope, like to hope that I gave you a good like energy and a good experience every time. But you know, sometimes you lose that, and I was losing that. I was losing that a lot.
Sound like a fish in a bowl. It can only go so big.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
This place,
yeah, exactly.
That's the one thing about you is you're always got an idea.
I'm plotting something. Yeah,
you're always expanding in some way.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the time that when people are, you know, when people are like that and they're in a place where you're getting held, I think you become very frustrated, and everyone else gets it around you, like as in like you come across bad to some people, especially like family and things like that, because you're just trying to do something, and you're
I guess it's lights you up, you know, it's exciting, like
exactly,
new things. But I was going to ask as well, what was the at what point, you know, obviously you had the plans for 10 years, but at what point did you actually finally kind of put your foot down and pull the trigger on?
It was about, do you know what it was? It was about when my business partner believed in me, and my investor believed in me. He'd see me working day and night. I was always in, first one in, last one out. And then I'd go from there, go home, and then do another 5-6 haircuts at my house. So I was doing like 30 haircuts a day, and I was working mad hours. I mean, I've got a little bit of that ADHD in me. So like, I fear sleep a little bit. I don't lay in. I like to get up. So, you know, he was seeing me coming in early, leaving late. So it was finding the right person to invest in me. I'd had a lot of people offer it and look at me and say, look, would you like me to do this? But I think their vision was very one dimensional. Barbershop. Mine was very like take over barbering and men's grooming. Yeah. So it was about finding that right person. And then another business partner of mine who's been a mentor to me, and he's been so much value to me, and I honestly don't know where I'd be without him as well. It's a good friend of mine, Steve Hubbard. We've become so close, and it was about the first time, like me and you, we met in the appointment, and I could just tell, you know, I could tell that he was the right person, and it was about finding the right people. So there'd been so many offers, and there'd be, you know, I could have got my own investment for smaller scale shops and things like that, but it was about just finding them right people at the right time. And I think where I was in my life, I was going through a lot of stuff over my life. I've just been, you know, I've had my own mental stuff that's, you know, affected me. And then as I got to, you know, a couple of years back, I just felt like I was in a better headspace. I had children, you know, my kids were born, and it was just the right time, right people. And finding the right location.
Do you think it was fate, everything?
Yeah, I do. In a way I do. Yeah. Because it could have happened so many times before. And I feel like, I mean, do you believe in fate? You believe in it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, I believe that some things are meant for you, you know, in life. And if you believe enough, you put the work in, it will eventually be yours, you know, if you do the right things. And like you said, the right people.
It's definitely a thing. I think fate and you know, going with the energies at the right time.
Yeah, it's also the right people. Because as I mentioned earlier, when we were talking before this, like, you can't trust everyone. Because some people, it's that they see something in you and they think, how can I benefit off that?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It's when it's like someone just appreciates.
There's an element of that in a lot of things, you know,
especially in a business.
But it's also about finding the people like this with me and you. I'm not feeling like I'm going to benefit anything. I just want to do this with you, and I think it will work because I think people will relate. And I think after we've got over this one about, you know, why we're here, the shop and things like that, you know, the podcast is going to be steered very much towards men and how, you know, and you know, we'll have a few celebrities in here, and we won't talk about what they do, you know, sports people. We won't talk about what they do. We'll talk about the importance of why they come here, you know, and how they think, you know, what they do in their lives, and you know, what their struggles are. And I think it was a good idea for me and you to come together like that. I think there was no other person I wanted to choose for you to put it in it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. I mean, yeah, you are quite sold on me, like in the same way with the
again. You said, "Oh, me? Why me?"
Yeah, I'm thinking,
but what do you think? People are just going to be like, "Why is he there?" But I was like, "Nah." People will not ask that question. I think the thing is with me, when I have something in my head, honestly, it's like I'm obsessed by that thing. Not I'm obsessed by you, no, but like I'm obsessed by that thing, and I'm like, I want that person in it. And that's me, and nothing would change that for me. Even if the top guy come down the road that was good at podcast, I'd just be like, no, I've got you, because that's what I want. And that's why, you know, with certain things, I just got something in my head, and that's the way it's going to be. Because if I try to change things, it just doesn't tick up there. It doesn't work like that.
It's got to feel right, kind of.
Yeah, it doesn't feel right. Yeah,
definitely. So kind of going off that, Depot, the products. What made you choose the brand? What's so special about them?
Yeah, so do a little bit of an introduction to that. I mean, you've used the products, you love them,
Yeah.
like they're crazy, aren't they? Like,
Yeah, on
it's amazing.
the open night, I got a box, and
Yeah.
I was impressed. It's
Yeah,
something I
so
use.
sort of like the gift box we gave
Yeah,
out to
yeah,
all the models and stuff, and the people that help. Yeah, it was amazing. So basically, Depot, I say, you know, my business partner and a lot of people that use it, I say it's like the Louis Vuitton of men's grooming. I mean, they cater for everything. They've got absolutely everything. The quality, the way that the product looks on the shelves, the way it's executed, everything is great. And do you know what it was? I was trying to find a brand that I didn't have to outsource. So when I wanted to do the facials, when I wanted to do, you know, everything, shampoos, everything, I wanted to have it all in one family. And you know, it's really quite hard to find a men's brand that does it that well and have everything in it. And do you know what? Again, with fate, and I honestly just believe that these things come together. And I saw this brand Depot at the back of a picture when I was on Pinterest, and I saw it at the back of a picture, and I thought, what is that? So I zoomed in, zoomed in, zoomed in. I see it, and I was like, I just love the way that looks, and it was like I could feel it in me. So I reached out to this brand Depot, reached out, and it took me from back and forth and a few negotiations and a few hurdles. It put probably about just under 2 years to actually get that rolling.
wow,
And it was, I just didn't give up. And there was many times where I thought it wasn't going to happen. And it actually went down to probably about 2 hours before we opened. The delivery came from Italy to get it in the shop. So they're an Italian brand. Like I said, I feel like they're the Louis Vuitton of men's grooming, and they just do everything. They do, you know, you've got skincare, you've got your fragrances, you've got your shampoos, conditioners, you've got your styling products, you've got your everything for shaving, anything you possibly need for shaving. You've got your treatment stuff, so for your scalp treatments, everything like that as well. And also you've got your shower gels, and there's like 7 different fragrances, and they just really cater for everything. You've got candles, and it's great because with this brand, I always thought in the top of my head, like, if you come to a barbershop and you get your hair product, yeah, that's going to do you for like what, 2-3 weeks, maybe 4. But with this brand, you can come and you don't have to, you could buy something every single time because you start buying into it. And that's what I wanted to do here with Diligence. You're buying into the brand, you're becoming part of that brand. And that's what Depot is as well. It's a lifestyle brand. And that's what I wanted to do. So, and that's what we're trying to do here. So it was just perfect. And honestly, it literally came out of nowhere and it just worked. And it just like fitted exactly what I was looking for. So I don't really know how,
yeah.
but it just came out. And do you know what I mean?
Like
it was
one of
just
the pieces that fell together naturally.
it was just like, yeah, it was just crazy. It's crazy. I mean, you've used the product. What do you think? Like, it's
Yeah,
great.
no, I really liked some of the shampoos and stuff. Like, yeah,
It's like
high quality.
affordable as well. So it's like high end looking and high end,
Yeah.
and it executes
And it lasts a long
high,
time.
and it
Like,
lasts a long
it's not
time,
like
and it just smells great. So it's a
quality's
really great, it's a great brand. And honestly, there is nothing like it. I feel that there is absolutely nothing like it.
that's
on the
something
market.
people can get
Yeah.
in store.
So yeah, so we sell that in store, and I've just launching my Shopify as of next week. I don't know when this is going to come out, obviously, and we're going to be start doing lives as well. So we'll be selling on lives, you know, like the TikTok shop stuff. But we've got our own sort of. We're actually going to be partnering up with a brand called Spree, which we're going to be start selling that online. So we'll go live with me or you, or with a celebrity in the chair, which people can log into, and then they can show the product, how it's used, and then you can just buy it there and then. So you don't actually have to visit the store to get it. So the Shopify will be up and running. And also, yeah, but obviously, if you visit the store, then we have it here too. So, and it's honestly, I don't know another brand out there like it. And I've worked with a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I've worked with a lot of brands,
This one
over
impressed you. a lot.
50 different brands, you know, in the shop, in the salons that I've worked in, and this is by far the best.
So with the brand itself, the Diligence, what's the vision in 5 years? You know, what's the end game for this place?
Do you know what? So when I first got into you know, when we first started Diligence, there was like it was like, let's just get this ball rolling and make sure it's good and make sure everyone's happy to come in here, and you know, like things like we've touched on. But in my back of my mind, I always felt like we could take over. But saying that to people, especially that, you know, other barbers that I have working with, everyone thinks you're a little bit crazy. But I truly believe that in the long run, we could literally take the men's grooming industry to its highest peak. I honestly feel that. So for me, Diligence in itself, I feel like the end game and the goal for me is just to spread ourselves as far and wide as we possibly can, with locations, having flagship stores, and just offering everything that I said and think that we can, and just do it. And it's not take over with like a big hunch on my back, like this is what we do, but just offering it's giving to people, bringing something new to the table that guys need. I feel like they need it,
So you aim for Diligence to be kind of a household name.
Yeah, exactly that, and collaborating with other household names, so whereas it might be just clothing brands or whatever, just piecing the puzzle together and creating a part of that, and hopefully people will approach us as brands have already, but some real men's brands that people need or have been needing. To mirror up with those would be crazy. Mirror up as well sounds quite good.
Yeah,
being in.
Yeah, it's nice words. So the word diligence, is there anything?
So obviously diligence it becomes like is attention to detail, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I just thought, I actually had help with this name because I was playing with the word diligence, but then I realized there was it's been used and people have had it. When we started, looking into try and pattern it and things like that. So I was actually up with a friend up in Manchester, and we were sat there, and he was actually helping me with the first business plan I ever put together. Was through him. I just had this plan. He helped me with it. He went through numbers and all that sort of thing. And we was just, on an off chance, so we were just having a beer. It was crazy, to be honest with you, when I really think about it now. I told him what I wanted it to be called, and he just went, hold on a minute. And we played with the words, and then he said it's gents, and we put that together. We literally said at the same like diligence, and we're like, whoa, that's mad.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is it. And it was literally came off a beer in a pub when my girlfriend at the time was in having a treatment done up in Manchester or doing a course, and I just literally was like, that is crazy.
That was the one.
That was it. And that was it. And that's why it's plastered everywhere. And then, we had to, obviously, you have to make sure no one else can use it and all that. But it was, and I just feel like it means, not only is it now personal to gents, but it also means attention to detail and just going that beyond and that bit further.
Yeah, no, even when you mentioned the name first time round, I thought, I like that. That's
and
clever.
People love it, and it's so punchy and easy, and it looks good on t-shirts. I mean, we've got it on the back of the tees and stuff. It's cool. Like, it looks cool. It looks cool written, and it just went in, and I went with it, and it just works, and I love it. I literally love it. I love it, and I'm thankful for Martin. My I call him my mank dad, but he's a guy from Manchester that we met on a holiday once, and I thank him for helping me that day, because I probably wouldn't be here again without him as well.
He was an important role, do you think?
Very important, like very brief but very important, because not only did he give me the belief that I could do that I believed in what I wanted to do. This is a number of years ago now, but I was very proud to ring him and show him everything on the way, and when it came, and he actually came to my opening as well, and that was like, it was really cool, really, really cool, and I'm really thankful for that.
Do you have any advice? Kind of just a question I just thought of, but do you have any advice for someone who might want to do this themselves, if they're a barber?
Do you know what it is? When it comes, and I think with you as well, like, you could touch on this. You've had your your own branding and own thing going. I mean, I think you could talk on this as well. It's about, it's about belief. It is just about belief. It comes down to belief, and you have the good and bad days, and where you think it's just not ticking and things like that. But things don't come like that.
Yeah.
Like, even this now, like, we've got a good gallery, and we've got a good platform, but still it's not like that.
Yeah. It's people only see the public wins. They don't see what goes on in your head.
For us to sit here as well, like, people might say, like, who are they? But at the end of the day, we're both doing something that we're proud of, and we're both trying to build something, whether it be what it might be in anybody's life. I think that it's good to see two guys just sat here now saying, I haven't made it. I don't feel like that at all, and I'm sure you don't feel like that at all. You're like, it's not even close. But it should give people belief that this happened. Like, it didn't happen like that. It happened because I believed, and I dreamt about it. I thought about it. I constantly had it in my mind, and it was just like, just keep going. And there's so many people that don't believe in you. Like, you must have had that, like, of course, and people sort of take you as a bit of a joke, or they think you're a bit nuts, or they think you're a bit mad. But at the end of the day, what are they doing? You know what I mean? What are they doing? Like, are they? And someone can sit there and say all these things, but unless they're a billionaire, and it doesn't even come down to money, even just because someone's got money and they still take the piss out of you, it's like, what are you doing? Do you know what I mean? I'm not doing that to you or anything like that. So it's about just believing in yourself, not really taking anyone else's you take it with a pinch of salt, especially with shit that someone might say to you or something like that. But it's like, just go with what you do and know your own worth and know what you want from your life.
How important was belief from other people? Like, did you get, was there key people you leaned on?
Do you know what? Since I've had the shop, and since you're the same. Like you run a, we can introduce exactly what you do.
Yeah, I mean, I've my own men's personal development coaching business.
Yeah,
help guys 1-to-1.
Which we'll tag at the bottom of the videos, and obviously people should definitely like tune into that, because there's not many people doing what you're doing either, and especially offering the service that you're doing. But I think going back to your question, the belief of other people is like, people, especially when you have your own thing, which you can relate to, even your friends that you've known for ages don't come.
Yeah.
And it's like,
well, you even find out they've got something to say about it.
Yeah. And it's like, especially when I've had when we've had to go, like, I've got friends that haven't even stepped foot in here. I've been open 10 months. It's like, whoa. So the belief of other people, it doesn't make a difference to me. Some people, my family, my mum, my kids, my girlfriend, and my my dad, my sisters, and close friends. Yeah, it means something to me if they have something encouragement to say or something like that. Then it would mean something to me. But no, I don't. I think obviously don't care what people think too much. I think otherwise that can really stop people from believing.
Did that ever affect you at all?
Nah, not even. No. I mean, it's not being arrogant at all. I knew I could cut hair well, and I knew that, and I'm sure what you can do. You do it well, And so anyone out there that's watching this and has a little idea, just get out there, just try your best to just push it. And it doesn't come like that. Money doesn't come like that. But sometimes ideas and especially putting things out there don't have to cost anything.
Yeah, definitely. No, I 100% agree. Yeah, that self-belief and just having good people around you. Sometimes with me, you've given me bits of encouragement or advice, and it goes a long way when you're trying to step out of what's the normal or what's the ordinary. It can feel quite overwhelming, but
I think that's another thing down to the appointment, like those bits of encouragement that I may have given you, which I'm flattered that I have, and I hope they have helped. But that comes down to being comfortable in this chair.
100%.
And there's loads. Even when I speak to some of the guys that play sport for a living, just the way they talk to me in a chair, or the way I hear them talk to other, their barber. Sometimes it's just they probably wouldn't do that. And the world's a funny place. Like you said, you can't trust everyone. And I bet when you're in the limelight, especially, I bet your circle's so small. So to come into the barbershop and trust that person that's cutting your hair, I bet it's a massive thing for some people. A massive thing for some people, because you don't understand how some people might just be real lonely. You just never know.
Yeah, it's true.
But I think moving on from here, I think us and what we should sort of ask people what they want to see and how they want to because we've got a few things in the pipeline of what we think and how we want this to roll. I mean, today's been very predominantly around me and you and about the shop and the gallery and the brand and where it's going to be and what we can do. But that was good for an opener, because I just really wanted people to get into it and see a bit about you and me and see how we hold ourselves and stuff, which I think has been interesting. I think it's flown very well. I think I hope people would like to watch it and people like to see, but I think we'll move onto the importance of a haircut, definitely, for people and just men in general, and how they want to open up and speak and just feel comfortable, and just problems they may tackle or things they might have in the pipeline and things like that, so people can put some suggestions of who and why and what, or to what topics,
what kind of questions you want to ask a guest, or
and what topics they.
I think what you want to do with this is make it a bit more personal and a bit more
that
bit more deep a bit more deep, So
exactly that.
Those kind of questions.
Yeah. And I think it's just very natural, very natural. I think we will be having a laugh and a joke. I mean, today was just feeling it out and seeing how we are and seeing how just structuring it a little bit. And I think I'm excited to do more of these. Yeah. And we have already got 2 or 3 ready to go.
Yeah. Special guests
as well, which I think will be a great engagement for people. I think to even if they're a sports person, but we'll try and steer away from what they their job, and we might touch on it. But I think just to know a bit more about, I've had people I've looked up to and looked at and thought, I wonder what they do at home.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get into a bit of that with some of our celebrities, or or our sports people, sportsmen, sports, whatever. hopefully we can touch into a bit of their lives rather than just what they do for a day-to-day job. And I think as well, the collaborations we do will be a good one as well. So, I've been speaking to people in different professions that are sort of on the journey to do something a bit different than just go to work every day. If they're doing magazines and doing this, photo shoots for some reason, or this and this, or bringing something new to the table in their profession, I think it'd be cool just to reach out to those type. And if anybody wants to reach out to us as well, that thinks that, they could get involved in this for their, to tell their story as well, which should be good. But yeah, it's been good.
Yeah, no, it's been a good episode. I think covered a lot, showing kind of giving people a deeper insight into the story of everything. Yeah. I think it's a lot of people, I've seen it, but they might not. Might not have kind of know the backstory or know that, it's something you've had in your mind for 10 years. I didn't even know that myself. So it's pretty
and then with people sat in here, I hear those things daily. So someone sits in my chair and they tell me something like that in the appointment. That's why I like to call it the appointment, because somebody doing something special in their job, or they're doing something, making a movement themselves, for us to sit here and chat to, and them tell us all these little facts in that appointment, like they would with me in the shop, is cool. And I think it's really cool, because there's some people doing some great stuff. And it's not all about just going to work 9 to 5 in that profession. People are trying to reach out now, do their own podcast, do their own things, come up with new ideas, especially in their own, it could be in anything. So I think it'd be really cool just to dig deeper with a lot of people, like I do when I'm in the chair, because there's facts that I remember from people from 10 years ago that sit in my chair, or 5 years ago, or little facts, and people are like, wow, how do you know that? And like you said, you just don't know this stuff about people. But I found out a lot in the chair, which definitely. I think is amazing.
Yeah, I think that'd be cool for people to see.
Yeah,
with
sure.
This, for sure.
So I think we've had a great chat. I think we covered some really cool stuff. I think there's exciting things to come. And the first one for me was just about exactly what we did, and what we talked about. So I think just address the people, tell them, where we are, what you do, how they can find us, and from there on, maybe ask a few questions. I don't know.
Thanks for watching, guys. So I think it's been a great episode. And if you want to request a guest for our next episode, be sure to drop that in the comments. Or if you have a question you'd like us to ask, go ahead and put that in the comments. All the details for Diligence and myself are in the details below. And thank you for watching, and look forward to seeing you in the next episode of The Appointment Slot.